It was back to class for thousands of students in Quebec today. Elementary schools outside of Montreal reopened for the first time since March. Now, attendance is not mandatory, but for children whose parents chose to send them back, classrooms did look a lot different. Students had to stay 2 meters apart at all times, and there was a lot more hand washing involved. Rico Lavoie has a son and daughter, ages 10 and 12, respectively, who headed back to class today. And Marie-Michelle Gauthier also has two daughters, ages 9 and 12, and they returned as well. Both of them join us from Gatineau, just across the river. Hi there. Great to see you both. Thank you for making time for us.
Hi.
Rico, why don't I start with you? How did today go?
It went really well. Both of the kids really enjoyed going back to school. Everything was a lot different than when they left, but overall very positive from both of the kids.
Marie-Michelle, what about your daughters? How different was it for them, and what were some of the specifics about what they had to do during the day?
It went really well. They were really well organized, so they had different entry, different doors. The class were way smaller, so they were 9 in the class instead of 26. They had to wash their hands, keep 2 meters, but everything was well explained, and they were happy to see the kids, and the kids were happy to go back.
We mentioned, Rico, in the introduction there that there are that it's voluntary, and I'm wondering what your thought process was in the lead up until today. Were you how difficult a decision was it really to send your kids back to school?
For us, it wasn't really a difficult decision. From the data we have now, the risk in our area outside of Montreal really is fairly low. There's a very low chance of propagation. And for the kids, the effects of the disease appear to be relatively benign. So for us, it was overall very low risk, and the upside was much larger. So I think it's better for our children to go back to school and get a sense of normalcy in their life.
What about you, Marie-Michelle? Did you have any nerves making that decision?
I was pretty anxious this morning. I think we all have to live with the risk, but the risk is there. I go to the grocery store, so the risk is there anyway. I think it was a move to move forward. But yes, I was a bit anxious, but after the end of the day, they were happy and everybody's good. So I think it was a good choice.
How do you, Rico, talk to your kids, I guess, about this new reality? Because I'm always curious how you walk the fine line, sort of explaining everything that is different, but at the same time trying to impart that sense of normalcy that you both talk about.
Right. So they know that things are different, and there is a risk involved. But the teachers at school, everyone at school did a really good job just putting in place all the safety measures that they have to follow. And so they ask questions, we answer them as best we can, and they just know what they have to do to stay safe. So keep a distance, wash your hands, and just follow all the directions. So they were very comfortable going back to school, and so were we.
Marie-Michelle, what about you? What's the conversation like with your children, your daughters, and did they themselves have any nerves going back?
I think they were anxious. Any changes creates anxiety and questions, but I think they were ready. I think we've been talking about it for the last 7 weeks, and they know what to do. They're children, but they're adults of tomorrow, so they know to be careful around other people. They know that going back to school means not seeing grandma for a while, and but we're washing our hands at home. We're doing the same thing, so they were already used to it. So it's no big change, but for sure. Starting school created a bit of stress with everything they hear too on the news.
What did they come home, Marie-Michelle, when they got, I imagine they were home a few hours ago, 3 hours ago or so. What did they say to you when they came home?
They came back with a big smile. They said it was a little bit different because they couldn't see their friend from up close. And they said they washed their hands a lot during the day. And that the school was really strict, nicely strict, but strict about the 2 meters. But they explained really well. They took an hour this morning to explain everything that was going on, and told them that if they had questions, they feel free to ask them. So they were okay.
And Rico, what about you? What did they say when they came home?
Yes, my daughter was a little disappointed that not all of her friends came back to school. But other than that, it was they were happy to go back, and just like Marie-Michelle said, there were a lot of indications. There's signs everywhere, tape on the floor, and so it went very well and easy to follow the directions and stay safe.
And just curious, you said that your daughter mentioned there weren't as many kids there. What did you have at all a sense of the portion of kids at school who actually came back today?
For the whole school, for their primary school, it's about 60%. But the class was relatively full. They divided it up into 9 groups of 9 kids, I think. But she was just missing her 2 best friends were not back. She was disappointed about that. But
I can imagine. Marie-Michelle, what about you? What was the portion rather of students back at school today? Do you know?
I'm not too sure about all the grades. I know for my daughter, there was 17 out of 26. For the youngest one. For the oldest one, she's on 6th grade, so it's the last year of elementary. So there were only 7 people in the class. But for my youngest, they were 17 on 26 is a good number.
Okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much, both of you, for coming on to talk about this, and best of luck to your kids as well.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.